Hi guys, I'm Saumya and I'm back again with another video. I hope you're all well and safe. I make a lot of bookish content on this channel, and if you are a book lover and a reader, then you should definitely hit that subscribe button and also click on the bell icon. So in today's video, I am going to talk about a book which was sent to me by the author, and that book is Of Closets and Skeletons and Other Stories by Kaivalya Ramnath. So let's get into the video. Of Closets and Skeletons and Other Stories is a collection of 8 very short stories, and the genre of this book is crime fiction. So this book has 92 pages and it is a super quick read. Crime fiction as a genre is very exciting and entertaining to read, and in case of this book, these 8 short stories, even though they fall under the umbrella of crime fiction, they are vastly different from each other. Out of these 8 stories, 5 have been told in first person by the protagonists of those stories. What sets this little book apart from other books in this genre is that these stories are quirky, and as the synopsis of this book suggests, that the stories in this book are concerned with the why of the crime rather than the who of the crime. So that is something very unique about this book. So these stories progress in ways that are unexpected and clever, and that is absolutely delightful. See, the thing is that these stories are super short, and because of that, as a reader, you do not get any time to formulate any conspiracy theories as to how the story would end, because before that can happen, the new story begins, and as a result of that, there is no predictability in this book. You can't predict what's going to happen because the pattern of the stories is very different from the usual crime fiction books, because as I told you, even the synopsis of this book says that the stories are concerned with the why rather than the who of the crime, and honestly, these stories live up to that claim. Each and every story in this book has a completely new vibe, and each and every story in this book gives the reader a totally fresh experience, which is great. Another thing that I noticed about this book was that it had social commentary in it from time to time, and what I liked about that part was that this social commentary did not seem to stick out like a sore thumb. It blended in with the stories, so that was definitely very impressive and good. One thing I really liked about this book was that the stories in this book were super detailed and they were full and complete, and the experience of reading them did not feel dissatisfying at all. You see, I love short books, but one challenge that I have often faced with reading short reads is that when you read these books, because they are so short, something or the other is left off for the reader to figure out, and basically there are aspects of the story that are open to interpretation. That was not the case with this book. At least I did not think so. So out of the 8 stories in this book, 5 stories have been narrated by the protagonists of the stories in first person. So these stories are Perfect Crime, Demons, Whose Life Is It Anyway, How to Get Away with Murder, Of Closets and Skeletons. So what set these stories apart, in my opinion, was that the protagonists narrating these stories had very intriguing personalities. Often what happens is that when you read a story that is told in first person, the narrator is not somebody who stands out particularly in the story. The narrator is usually a bland character who is experiencing the story, who is on the sidelines, and who is witnessing what the main, more interesting characters are doing. But that was not the case with this book. These 5 stories had narrators who were the protagonists with colorful personalities themselves, and that made these stories far more impactful in my opinion. And I wish more stories had interesting narrators instead of the boring ones, but that's another topic entirely. The other 3 stories were also not bad. In fact, one of the stories that I really liked in this book was called A Poison Pill, and that wasn't told in first person. Now finally, I want to talk about the writing and the language of this book, and I loved everything about how this book has been written. I have nothing to complain about in terms of the writing of this book, because that was my absolute favorite part about this book. The stories were great, but they were made even better, and they were definitely enhanced because of how wonderfully they have been written. The writing is impressive, it is crisp, and it is so much fun to read, and I had a great time with this book just because of the writing and the language alone. Had the stories not been impressive, I still would have liked this book because of how they have been written. So the writing in this book was very powerful, and I loved everything about it. So that was my review of Closets and Skeletons and Other Stories by Kaivalya Ramnath. You must definitely check this book out if you are into reading good crime fiction books. You will not be disappointed. I will leave the link for this book in the description box. So that was it for my today's video, guys. I hope you liked it. If you want to connect with me on my social media, the links are in the description box. I will see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye, take care and stay safe.